We have gathered here in love. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Raise the roof with shouts of praise. Spirit's in this place. We sing in celebration. We sing with words of prayer. We sing with words of prayer. We affirm our life as sacred. We declare that peace is here. Yeah, Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Raise the roof with shouts of praise. Spirit's in this place. Yeah, 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 yeah. Spirit is in this place. Oh, Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Spirit is in this, Spirit is in this place. Raise the roof with shouts of praise. Spirit's in this place.
Good morning, Unity of Payson.
Good morning.
And good morning to Unity of Payson out there, here and there and everywhere. We're delighted that you're here this morning. Spirit is in this place, this room where I'm standing right now. But Spirit is in that place where you are, wherever you are, if you're with us online. There is no place that the divine is not. So as we gather this morning, let's keep that in mind. There is no place where the divine is not. Would you join me in an opening prayer? God of all goodness, we are grateful for every little thing that has come into our life, for all that we have created, for all that challenges us, all that soothes us, all that blesses us. So this morning, we look to the topic of faith, that ability to believe with confidence. And we're here to learn and to know and to love. Bless each one who has joined us this morning. We are grateful that we are together, a demonstration of the oneness that we are. And so it is. Amen.
Good morning. It's time for our opening song, Something Wonderful.
Okay.
happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. I can feel it in my body, I can feel it in my soul, I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go. Something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Oh, something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. I can feel it in my body, I can feel it in my soul, I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go. Something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Oh, something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. And oh, this love inside, we can't let it shine. Oh, something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. Something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to me Ay, 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 something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to me. It's gonna happen to me. It's happening to me. Something wonderful, something happening to me. Can you feel it right now? Right here, right now. Something wonderful.
Oh, yeah, something wonderful. Hey, my name is Donna. I'm your platform hostess this morning. It's time for a welcome again and connection time and blessing of the visitors. Welcome to Unity of Payson. We're glad you're with us this morning. If you're here with us virtually, let us know where you're joining us from in the chat if you'd like. And we want to recognize anyone who is new to Unity of Payson. We invite you to remain after the service concludes for breaking bread. That's when we devour the message and talk about how it affects us and the blessings we can take from it. Let's see, if you'd like to be informed of our weekly activities, we have a Monday e-newsletter. If you're not on that chain, please leave your email in the chat or go to the contact page at unityofpayson.org and leave us your email. Again, we warmly welcome you. And from our Unity of Payson family, we say together, we love you, we bless you, and we welcome you. Now it's time for our gratitudes. We are grateful for those who support Unity of Payson with your time, your talent, or your treasure, or all three. We're grateful for the events of last week, which include morning cafe, qigong, and organic gardening. We're thankful for this technology that allows us to meet in a hybrid fashion. If you have a gratitude to share this morning, please raise your hand in the chat or in person, and a microphone will come to you, or you can unmute. Anybody have a gratitude?
Hi, Donna. Wow.
Hey,
It's Betty.
hi, Betty. Oh,
Yeah, I think they're trying to adjust the volume to that. Okay, so I'm grateful for a couple things. One, the farmers market. I missed last week, the first week, and evidently there were like 3,000 people there. And so I'm really grateful. I got my mushrooms and the edible ones. And then I'm also really grateful for the concerts that started last night. It was really fun and great to see the turnout, and my energy was really high when I got home. So I'm grateful.
thank you, Betty. Thanks so much. That's a great way to start us off. I
And
am grateful for the beautiful
I'm
weather.
grateful too.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so Betty opened the door to the concert. We had our first fun night. Kindness Works for All. We had New Beginnings. And we had Duca Ranch was kind of there, and Time Out Shelter too. We gave away lots of wristbands and greeted everybody. And the spirit of kindness just kind of flowed. That was really cool. So we had a great time. Thank you.
So cool. Thank you, Rick. Okay, well, if there are
We have one more, Donna.
some more,
This is Lynn, and I wanted to say I am grateful for unity because even though I am not here consistently, I'm always aware of the presence and spirit of unity
yay.
with
Thanks
me.
so much, Lynn.
And I was at the concert and heard the kindness booth announced, and it really made me happy to know that you were there.
Thank you. Super.
Yes, thank you. Beautiful. Good work, y'all. Okay. And let's see. We are going to move into the next portion. Unity is grounded in meditation and affirmative prayer. We have trained prayer chaplains to support you. You may email your request, and we're going to see it on the slide, to Reverend Neal. And the address is, there it is, I told you, neal.unityofpayson@gmail.com. Our prayer team and Silent Unity will join you in prayer for 60 days. Unity of Payson will pray with you for 30 days and then forward your request to Silent Unity for 24/7 prayer vigil for another 30 days. All requests are held sacred and confidential. If you would like to be contacted, please leave a phone number or email with your request, and a chaplain will contact you. And now for Unity of Payson's theme for June, faith. Here is the affirmation. I transcend my doubts and believe with confidence that my good is unfolding right now, right here, for me. Today's speaker, Rev Neal Worthington, and the topic of his talk is the faith scale. Stay tuned. And for the daily word for today, I chose faith. What do you know? And the affirmation, I have an unshakable faith. Whenever I feel out of my comfort zone, I call upon my faith to move forward courageously and confidently. With faith, I move boldly toward realizing my dreams. I put spirit first in all my affairs. I begin by affirming my oneness and trusting that divine order is at work in my life. I see each experience as an opportunity for growing in awareness of my divine identity. Wow, what a way to see the world, right? Faith helps me believe that God in me is greater than any circumstance. I give no power to appearance, and fear, doubt, and worry dissolve. I have absolute faith in the healing power at work in my life. When challenges arise, I focus my awareness on the guiding light of the Christ within. In faith, I know I am being guided to my highest good. From Hebrews 11:1, now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Well, I was doing a little bit of research the other day, and the other day, and the other day, and I found some information about faith. And now I'm not remembering what I wanted to share. Maybe it'll come back later. But it had to do with moving forward with a knowingness that really is unshakable. Okay. This is the first Sunday in June. So we do our Unity mission and vision statement. And it's not on the slides, that's okay. I'll just do call and response. So I'll read our mission statement and then we can say it together. We are a welcoming and open-hearted community. Let's just say that part together. We are a welcoming and open-hearted community, inspiring each other to live in love, joy, and service. Inspiring each other to live in love, joy, and service. And for our vision statement, I'll do that in parts also. We enrich our world through spirit-centered service. Together, we enrich our world through spirit-centered service. Positive human connections, and stewardship of all creation. And stewardship of all creation. All right, we got through it. Good job. And now our speaker, Rev Neal, will share the message with us.
About 12 years ago, I had the privilege of attending a workshop, an Abraham workshop. I don't know if anybody is familiar with the teachings of Abraham, and Esther and Jerry Hicks presented that workshop. Well, the teachings of Abraham have often been associated with the law of attraction, because that's an emphasis that's often given there. Abraham is a non-physical entity channeled by Esther Hicks. And it was a not really crazy, but just a very direct, wonderful experience to sit and listen to that wisdom that came from a source that we couldn't see. And that has to do with faith. One of the things, well, one of the books that came out of that is a book called Ask and It Is Given. And some of you may be familiar with this. And in that book, the idea of learning to manifest your desires. Well, one of the tools that Esther and Jerry put in that book is an emotional guidance scale. There were 22 emotions listed, all the way from despair on the bottom to joy and love on the top. Well, I don't have 22 notes on the scale this morning, just 8. But I'd like to talk about a faith scale, the bottom of it, the top of it, and the moving up. Because Esther said, we just reach for that next feeling that's improved a little bit. We just reach up a little bit. We don't have to make the jump from the bottom to the top, all in one huge leap. We just move up that scale. And that's what we'd like to talk about today. Of course, our agenda for today is our theme, the theme of faith. We're going to talk about not the emotions that you'll find in this Ask and It Is Given, but we're going to talk about states of consciousness. Consciousness is a word we use lots, and it's difficult to get a real handle on it sometimes. Let me give you what our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, says when we talk about consciousness. And consciousness is the composite of ideas, thoughts, emotions, sensation, and knowledge that makes up the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious phases of mind. Well, that's a lot to get a hold of. So we're just going to talk about thoughts and feelings today. That will encompass this, but it stands for something even larger than that. So what is faith? And what are the states of consciousness related? That's what we're going to talk about. Of course, faith is defined as one of the 12 powers of unity, and that's the ability to believe with confidence. The ability to believe with confidence, and that's where we're headed as we go up the scale. But I'm not going to talk about it in terms of the scale. In the meantime, as I prepared, I thought, and you brought this up, Betty, it's climbing up to the next rung. I thought of the stepladder of faith. And so I've created, at least in my imagination, I hope it gets transferred into yours, the stepladder of faith. A key spiritual truth that I came up with for this message. It's in the form of an affirmation. I choose to step up to a higher state of consciousness and realize my potential. So often we feel defeated because we don't realize our potential. At least I feel that way. I imagine some of you may do that as well. We're living up to my potential. The possibilities are much greater. And that's what we'll talk about, a way to move up so that more of that potential, more of those possibilities are realized. So we're going to start at step 1, or the bottom rung of the ladder. Think of a step ladder. Got 8 steps, and the bottom one is the same as that emotion that Esther described, despair. Well, despair is defined as the complete loss or absence of hope. Complete. That's the definition you'll get if you go to the dictionary. But there's a little bit of an understanding beneath that, a metaphysical understanding, if you will. And so we look at despair in that light too. Metaphysically, it's a feeling of aloneness, a feeling of no way up, no way out, and a paralyzing of your mental process. Paralyzing. I've been there. I've been in that state of despair. When I was a younger fella, in my 30s, I had a business partnership that failed. It was a restaurant partnership. And it left me, of course, without income and without a lot of hope. During that time, the place where I was living, that I was buying, the car that I was driving, those bills didn't get paid. And so I was sinking more and more into a despair. But it came to a poignant low when I was inquired. Somehow I had been contacted about a job possibility. And I went to inquire about that job possibility. I had at that time a beagle dog that I liked a lot. And I took that dog and put that dog in my car and drove 30 miles to an office suite where I could inquire about this possibility for income because I was without a job. Well, I went into the large building, went up the elevators. It was a pretty tall building, and couldn't find the suite. Couldn't find it at all. It just wasn't there. Tried another floor, thought maybe I didn't get it right. Maybe the address was something wrong. And I went back down to went down to the space where my car had been. And there on a tree was my dog on a leash tied up. My car had been repossessed. It was a very creative way to repossess cars, but it left me in a state of mental paralysis. I didn't know which way was up. So I took my dog, took the leash, and walked the 30 miles back home, not even able to think about any other alternative. I was at the point of despair. And it was that way for some time because I had a complete absence of hope. There was none for me. But fortunately, at one point, I was able to take a little step up. A glimmer of light occurred. And I took a step up to that second ladder, or the second rung on the ladder. And this is not a positive one, particularly easy, but at least it's a step up, and that's worry. So on the step ladder of faith, number 2 is worry. So I began to worry about how I would get around, how soon my house would be repossessed, where I was going to be, and in fact, I became homeless. I was in that despair point of my life. But I began to worry. How am I going to feed myself? How am I going to take care of this dog? How am I going to get a job? Fortunately, I got a little help along the way, and I began to see a therapist that was within walking distance because I was walking. And I began to experience that slightly higher state of consciousness, the state of worry. Now, worry is defined as to touch and disturb repeatedly. One of the definitions in the dictionary. To touch and disturb repeatedly. But if I go under that a little bit more metaphysically, it's a negative mental attitude that prevents good. A step up from despair, absolute loss of hope. But it's still, we've got some, I'm glad we've got 6 more steps to go on the 8-step step ladder, because worry is not a place that I want to hang around for very long. I like to think that Thomas, in the stories about Jesus and his disciples, Thomas the disciple was a worrier. This is what I created in my mind anyway. So Jesus, as the story goes, was crucified. And here's Thomas worrying. Look, I've spent all my life, at least the last 3 or 4 years, following this Messiah, and the Messiah is gone. What am I going to do now? What's my purpose in life? How am I going to go back and look for a profession so I can make my living? What am I going to do? So I think Thomas was a worrier. But Thomas also was able to take another step up, because the third rung on the ladder the stepladder of faith, is doubt. This again is not wholly positive, but doubt is defined as uncertainty or distrust. And when we look a little deeper metaphysically, it's an unsettled opinion about truth. So Thomas was there, moving up from worry to doubt. The way he wanted to take care of that was to know. He wanted to be certain about something. He wanted to be able to have some physical evidence. And you may remember the story that Jesus told him in the story to look at the nail piercings in my hand. Look at where the spear entered my side. Physical evidence that all was going to be well. And of course, we call him Doubting Thomas. So, but he moved up from that worry state to the state of consciousness of doubt. Now, you don't want to stay around in doubt either too long. If you have ever been in these shoes, you've been there where you just wanted to know, just let me know. Let me know what my purpose is in life. Let me know what the next step is in this situation. I want to know. I want it to be concrete. I want it to really let me know what I'm to do. But in order for that understanding to happen, you have to move up another rung on the ladder. And the next rung begins to be a little bit positive. Next rung is hope. Hope, defined as to desire or to expect, or metaphysically, an expectation of good. Sometimes the acronym for God, G-O-D, is good orderly direction. When you're in that state of hope, you're projecting that this order that you want in your life, this getting things squared away so you do have some understanding. This is hope. Hope, did you notice, is beginning to look up. The first three rungs on the ladder, you're kind of just looking at the ladder or at your feet. Now with hope, you begin to look up. Begin to look up. And so your state of consciousness has an opportunity for transformation and change. I remember within the last few years, since I've been here at Unity of Payson, that I arrived at a belief, a full-fledged, never doubted belief that all things work together for good. That's unshakable, as the Daily Word says. And this is hope. But hope, if you stay there, is kind of like a wishing well. We don't want to stay there. So we want to move up that next rung on the ladder, and the next rung is trust. Trust. When I got that understanding that all things work together for good, I was hopeful. And I began to change my conversation. And I think almost always now, I never say, I hope to see you soon. I say, I'll trust that I will see you soon. I've changed out the word hope. Put trust in there. Because trust is that next step up the ladder, a change in consciousness. So, trust is depending on something future. We're looking ahead and saying, it's going to be all right here. Or I know this is going to be taken care of. Or all this too shall pass. We're looking forward and seeing something that's very positive. Metaphysically, trust is a positive attitude, seeing that that's hoped for as being reliable. Reliable. But it doesn't stop with trust. Trust is a lower level of faith. We've kind of made the change. We're coming up the ladder. And so we're getting on the side of faith, which is where we're headed and beyond. But trust must give way to belief. That belief that I had that all things work together for good was brought into being. I was able to make that step up because I lived with that possibility of all things being good for long enough to where it became a belief for me, something that was unshakable. I'm so grateful for that. So we move up to belief, which is a habit of mind characterized by acceptance and well-settled trust. So belief is, I like that word, well-settled trust. That trust that I had that something in the future is going to be all right is well settled. It's not going to be shaken. And metaphysically, it's the inner acceptance of something as true. Suddenly, it's not dependent on everything out here and every situation that comes into our lives. It's an inner acceptance of what is true. So we see a little bit of a shift here as we move into belief. Belief is something that also must be built. It's not something that just appears out of the blue. It's something that must be built. And so we engage in the building of belief. When we get down to that part where we say, how do I do that? We'll talk about that a little bit more. But we build that belief over time, mainly by giving our focus to that which calls to us, but we don't quite yet have it as a belief. And so belief is that inner kind of thing. You know, when it's out here, things are going to change all the time. When it's a situation that's in our life, when it's a person that's in our life, it's outside of us. But when we're able to look within, we have the chance of building from within what resides within us anyway. The divine residing within us can help us to build that belief. So it's an inside out sort of thing. But we don't stay in the position of doing that interior work just for belief. We step up from belief to faith. You saw trust, belief, and now faith. So trust and belief are kind of lower levels of that faith that's up there. Faith is to believe with confidence, not just, I believe that. But I believe with confidence. I would stake my life on it. I believe with confidence. The dictionary would say that faith is a firm belief in something that there is no proof for. Something that there is no proof for. And metaphysically, we might say to believe with confidence or conviction. Did you hear in the Daily Word that scripture from Hebrews 11? Faith is the substance or the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. When we get to faith, when we're on that seventh step of this ladder, we don't need the outside evidence like Thomas needed physical evidence. We don't need that because we have coming from within the assurance that that which we've desired and hoped for will be so. We're talking about spiritual maturity here. When we're getting to faith, it's not something for a beginner who's just starting out, who may start somewhere lower down on that ladder. Faith, the ability to believe with confidence, leads us, again, coming from within, to the experience of oneness. We talk about that often. The experience of oneness, when you have this saturation of your soul with a belief and a confidence, then suddenly some of the boundaries or the walls begin to dissolve. And we truly can know the oneness that we are. For me, one of the most exciting, and I know you probably had some of these experiences, maybe for a moment in time. You felt that oneness. You were in a meditation. You were with a group of people, and you felt that oneness. For me, one of the times that just sticks out in my memory is a time when I was at Unity Village. If you've seen pictures of Unity Village, there's a big tower. It's a water tower originally. And on the top of that tower is not really a dome, but a roof. But there's a deck up there underneath that roof that's open, that you can see all directions. And the way that was engineered and built, the curvature of the top of that area was so resonant that sound just amplified naturally. And so you'd stand in the middle of that porch up there, and you'd speak a word, and it just flowed over. And if you were with a group of people, as I was when I was taking classes, my classmates, suddenly those walls, what I didn't like about a classmate or where I disagreed with that, those walls disappeared. Because in that situation where I was able to believe with confidence, I was moving toward this oneness, which brings us to the very top level of the stepladder of faith. It's funny, you would think faith would be at the top, but for me it's not. It's love that is at the top of the stepladder of faith. That experience of oneness, of being saturated with the divine that is the truth of us, of being connected with each and every person, both those around us and really with all that is. We are part of a great oneness. That's what love is. We talk about love as being an energy that just is the substance of the whole universe. Yes, that's so. It's funny, when you look at the definition of love in the dictionary, it seems pretty weak. The best I could come up with is a strong affection assured. A strong affection assured. I'm sorry, that's not love for me anymore. Because metaphysically, it's the ability to harmonize and to unify. Why I like our name Unity. Because it's emblematic of love that's on this top level of the stepladder of faith. If you remember the scripture in 1 Corinthians 13, it talks about love. And there's a great description of love, and you've read it, I'm sure. But at the end it says, and now remain these three. And it talks about three of these rungs on the ladder: hope, faith, and love. But the greatest of these is love. It's the top rung on the stepladder of faith. It's a good time to do this. Rick, would you do me a favor? Pass one of these out to everybody. Tom, I have a flash drive with a slide on it, but I never gave it to you. I didn't give it to Tom to put in here. So after we conclude the service, I'll give it to you and you can put it in so we can flash it up there for people.
Thank you.
So here's the stepladder of faith for you with the. I think we have enough to go around. Did I print enough? My printer was running out of ink. I'll wait for a second till Rick gets these passed out. So reviewing for those of you who are with us online, remember what's on the bottom rung? Despair. And worry, a step up, but not much of a step. Then we get to doubt. And then we begin to turn the corner as we start with hope. And then trust. And then faith. Or no, belief. Then faith and love. Thank you, Rick. So, where I usually go at the end of a message, how do I do that? How do I walk up this ladder? How do I go from rung to rung? And I'd like to give you a few pointers. First of all, is recognize where you are on the scale. And by the way, you could be up that ladder and slip down a rung or two from time to time. You could almost seem to be alternating between rungs. I don't know how you do that on a real ladder, but that's a possibility because it's not static. It's something that needs to be fed and supported as you move up that step ladder of faith. So recognize where you are on this, acknowledge it. Where are you on this scale, on the step ladder of faith? Got that for the start? Secondly, we talk often about choosing and having the power of choice. Choose the intention for what you want. If you're sitting with hope, choose the intention. I want to be trusting. Now, don't try to go from despair on the bottom and jump up to faith near the top. But take that next step. Improve your consciousness. Raise it just a little bit. When you do that, you have hope of arriving at this higher state of consciousness that you desired. So choose the intention to step up. And then ask what will help me to step up. And I'd like to just mention a couple of things. One of the greatest difficulties that we have when we want to bring something into our lives, and we don't focus on it. Everything else takes our mental time up. We don't hold in mind that which we really want. So focus is key. If you're at trust and you want to move up to belief, put your mind on belief. Certainly don't go back down the other way, but hold your focus on it. Then we talk a lot about affirmations. But the most powerful affirmations, remember, when we're getting to the top, we're talking about inside out. The most positive affirmations are the ones that you write yourself. Not difficult. You could just start with I am. That's a good starting place. Write the affirmation. So if you desire to move up a notch, write an affirmation and use it. I have now in my practice, I wasn't doing this until we began the morning pages in our book study. It kind of went along with that. I write an affirmation every day, a little card, a little yellow card. And on that card, I write my affirmation. One of them goes in my wallet. The other one goes on my desk. And I live with that affirmation throughout the day. Write that affirmation. Make it truly you. And visit it often. And then finally, look for it. Look for it in somebody else. Look for it in yourself. Be aware of it. One of the things that we're doing with the Kindness Initiative, Kindness Works, is calling to attention what's happening so that we can become aware of this kindness. And as that floods back into us, it begins to come back out of us. The same is true with this faith scale, and you're moving up that step ladder. Be aware of it in someone else, in another situation. And the more you're aware of it, the more it will produce within you. going back to Esther Hicks and that emotional guidance scale, ask and it's given tells us just reach up for the next best feeling, the next best. You move up a little bit. I think the same is true with this stepladder of faith. We reach up for a raising of consciousness with intention and with taking these tools that we're talking about and using them to build in our lives the ability to be a person of faith. Again, the key spiritual truth for today. I choose, and this is in the form of an affirmation. By the way, you can use other people's affirmations, but the best ones are the ones you make for yourself. Here's an affirmation. I choose to step up to a higher state of consciousness and realize my potential. And so it is.
Okay, well, now it's time to prepare for meditation. May want to turn out the light in the sanctuary as we listen to our meditation song. And our meditation song is, excuse me, just a minute. I allow.
I allow, I receive, I accept, I believe that I have all I need. I allow, I receive, I accept, I believe that I am all I need now. I allow, I receive, I accept, I believe that I have all I need. I allow, I receive, I accept, I believe that I am all I need now.
It's time for us to spend some time in the silence, reflecting on what we've heard. So take a deep breath, breathing in and then letting that breath out. Do it a couple of times more. Breathe in, breathe out. In breath and out breath. This is the place that we are most aware that there is no place the divine is not. Because we're touching the divine within us, which experiencing it in our world as well. So in this quiet place, I just want to ask a question for you to ask yourself. And then we'll spend a little time reflecting on those questions. Only a couple of them. And the first question is right here, right now, today, where am I at on that stepladder of faith? Search your soul, as it will, as you will. Be honest with yourself and acknowledge this is where I'm at. So you may not like the state of consciousness that is yours currently. You may not be happy with staying there. But you've acknowledged it. You've known that's where I am right now. So looking within, what do you choose next? Not making that grand leap to something that might seem unattainable, but making that step up in consciousness. If you're at hope, it's trust. If you're at doubt, it's hope. If you're in worry, it may even be doubt. And if you're at trust, you may want to step up to belief. If you're at belief, you may want to step up to the ability to believe with confidence and exercise faith. All of these are simultaneously gifts that we allow and that we receive, but they're also choices and intentions. So recognizing where you are right now, what's that step up that you want to make in consciousness? Spend some time reflecting. This is where I want to go. This is my next step forward, my next step upward. And when you know what that next step is, give all of your focus to that next step. Spend a few minutes in the silence and review that again and again. See how that works itself out in your life. That next step up the ladder of faith. That next state of consciousness, which will help you realize your potential. Take a minute or two now and review that as you look inward to know. come back from that interior conversation you've had with yourself. Open to knowing what your next step is, what your next practical step is in your life. This day. And above all, be grateful. Be grateful. And bring your awareness back to the time and place that is now for you. Bring back with you what Spirit has struck into your soul during this time, and carry it with you. So open your eyes and perhaps wiggle your fingers and toes so you'll know you're back here. And be grateful. And so it is.
Thank you, Reverend Neal. I really like this time of meditation that allows us to just really take the message into our heart, into our belly, into our cells, so we can live it. I remembered what I was thinking of in terms of research earlier, and it was about the power of the word. We talk a lot about affirmations, and scientifically, they've shown that positive words really can affect us, can soothe us, can relieve our stress. And when I read an affirmation, like I was reading the Daily Word affirmation, in faith, I know I am being guided to my highest good. When I read that aloud to you, it helps me take it in even more because I'm hearing it. When I'm speaking it, I'm hearing it. And it's giving me more faith just by speaking it. So that's really what I wanted to share before. And now it is time to share our gifts and offerings. Unity of Payson appreciates your gifts in support of this ministry. Your gifts not only support our spiritual community, but they go out to the larger community as we tithe back. As you listen to the offering song today, you'll have time to make a contribution. And information for giving is on the slides. So let's bring our attention to our gift at this time, and let's call to mind our heart's desires. And together, let us say the offering affirmation together. Freely we give, and freely we receive. So it is. Learn How to Fly is the offertory song.
Faith is knowing I've gotta keep going when life isn't flowing and I don't know why. I've gotta keep growing, can't just sit here and cry. I'll find solid ground or I will learn how to fly. afraid to step forward, can't see what's below. But I've come so far to the top of this hill. Don't wanna go backward, and I refuse to stand still. Faith is knowing I've gotta keep going when life isn't flowing, and I don't know why. I've gotta keep growing, can't just sit here and cry. I'll find solid ground, or I will learn how to fly. I thought life was a lesson, like being in school. And I would be safe if I just played by the rules. But in the blink of an eye, the whole world can change. Ooh. Till nothing's familiar, no sure thing remains. Faith is knowing I've gotta keep going when life isn't flowing, and I don't know why. I've gotta keep growing, can't just sit here and cry. I'll find solid ground, or I will learn how to fly. Faith is knowing I've gotta keep going when life isn't flowing, and I don't know why. Faith is knowing, gotta keep going, life isn't flowing, and I don't know why. Gotta keep growing, can't just sit here and cry. I'm taking a leap, and I will learn how to fly. I'm taking a leap, and I will learn how to fly. I'm taking a leap, and I will fly. Ooh, I will fly. I will fly.
Okay, let's fly. It's time for the dedication of our offering. We're grateful for these gifts. We're grateful for the givers. We bless the gifts and we bless those who give. As we say together, divine love flowing through us, blessed and multiplied. All that we are, all that we have, all that we give, and all that we receive. We are abundantly prosperous, and we give thanks, and so it is. Amen. So we continue with the theme of faith for June. Next Sunday's speaker will be Rev Neal Worthington. And the title of his talk will be Believing Without Seeing. That's a good one. So I want to talk a little bit about upcoming events. Please check the website at unityofpayson.org or the Monday e-newsletter for all the details. Our regular weekly events include Morning Cafe, Monday through Saturday. We're going to change it this week till 9 a.m. So we're changing it to 9 a.m. so that the half hour we spend together doesn't cut into as much of your morning. So maybe more of you can join us. 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, Arizona time. Morning coffee, or morning cafe, as others like to call it. Let's see. We have A Course in Miracles with Rev Neal, Tuesday, June 6th at 6 p.m. This meets the first and third Tuesdays at 6 p.m. on Zoom, on this channel. We have a book circle continuing, The Artist's Way. The remaining date is June 15th. This will be both on Zoom and in the fellowship hall in person. If you have any questions about this, you can contact Teresa. And let's see if her email is here. Well, I have it here. It's tk.pacifica@gmail.com. tk.pacifica@gmail.com. Then we have summer concerts at Green Valley Park. It would be really cool if people from Unity of Payson can gather together. We're going to have a booth, Kindness Works for All booth, and here's the schedule. And we have bracelets to give out for each of these topics for kindness. And the next one is Kindness Works for Animals on June 10th. So maybe we can gather in the grass close to where the table is, if that's possible, and put our chairs there and our blankets. That would be really cool if we can do that. And please bring non-perishable food. The Payson food banks will be there for each concert. And we have a PS from Neil.
I'd just like to emphasize, if you didn't get it, 9 o'clock for Morning Cafe this week, we're going to give this a try and see how it goes. So if you know somebody who's not here but does come to Morning Cafe, remind them of that, please. For breaking bread this evening, or today, well, we're going to be breaking bread at the back of this room because we have potluck back there. It looks good, and I hope you all who are here in person will stay and join us for that potluck and a time to be social with one another. If you're with us virtually, would you just stay a minute after we complete so I can greet you? Then we'll let you go to your lunch or something else, whatever it is, snack. But we will have just a brief time for me to greet you as we're getting ready for the potluck here. And I think that's it. We have, Marianne, would you tell us whose birthday it is during the month of June?
Oh.
Is anybody here that's got a birthday in June? That's Claudette. So we are going to sing happy birthday to Claudette, and anyone else you know, a part of this family or part of your family. So if you will bring up the slide, Tom, we're going to go ahead and sing. We're just singing this. Yeah, if you want to stand to sing, that's great. There we go.
We might as well sing in the circle. That's what we used to
Yeah,
do.
let's go. Let's get the circle around because we're going to sing the peace song. And Claudette, would you get in the middle? I know you were in the middle last week, but you get in the middle again this week because you. Well, sure. Adri. Even if it was in the end of May, you're okay. Here we go. Happy birthday to you. There's no one like you. Uniquely created. I love knowing you. I bless you with life and abundance, God, Lord. God bless you, my loved ones, and have many The peace song and a prayer for protection.
Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, the peace that is meant to be. With God as Creator, family are we. Now we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me, and this is the moment now. With every step I take, this is my joyous path. I take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me.
And the prayer for protection. And an echo. Here we go. The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. And the presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Yeah.